Hi, I'm Dima Naboka from Tibco Jaspersoft support. Today I will show you how to encrypt Jasper server report exports, for example PDF and Excel files, using Jaspersoft ETL. The goal of this tutorial is to introduce encryption functionality to Jasper Server Scheduler. To design and run such ETL job, we will need Jaspersoft ETL Studio and the running JasperReports Server. I'm using ETL Studio 6.3.1 and Jasper Server 6.4, but this example should work with any 6.x version of Jasper Server. Newer versions of ETL Studio should also be able to run this job. Complete ETL job consists of 4 components: trest, twait for file, tfile archive, and tsendmail. TRS purpose is to schedule a report and export it to selected formats on local file system. Twait for file scans a specific folder on file system and forms a list of files to be encrypted. Tfile archive creates an encrypted zip file which contains previously processed files. Finally, tsendmail emails result in zip file to selected recipients. Okay, let's create this ETL job from scratch and discuss each step in details. Create standard job. Let's name our new job Encrypt JRS reports. First step is to schedule a report. To achieve this in ETL Studio, we could use community components from Jaspersoft ETL plugin, but supported approach is to use REST API web services. So we start by adding TREST component from the palette. Now let's fill out component details. To schedule a report, put request needs to be executed against jobs endpoint. So for URL field, we'll need to append restv2/jobs to our Jasper server URL. HTTP method should be put, and we will need 2 HTTP headers set up: content type and authorization. Set content type equals application/job plus JSON. Authorization is a bit tricky. Its value consists of 2 words: basic with capital B and base64 encoded Jasper server credentials. In this example, I'm using default superuser : superuser login and password. Just Google base64 encode, pick a website and encode your credentials like this. Copy paste this encoded value back to your authorization value. And don't forget to add basic white space in the beginning. For HTTP body, you could refer to REST API web services guide, although it's not mandatory to fill out the HTTP body manually. We can use Jasper Server UI to schedule a report. then use getRequest to download the body and update it with regards to correct put request syntax. So let's do that. Once you log into Jasper Server UI, let's schedule a job. Let's choose geographic results by segment report. Let's export to CSV, PDF, and XLX. We'll use sequential file names by timestamp, and we'll output to host file system. Important note here, by default storing exports in local file system is disabled in Jasper Server. To enable it, we need to go to Web in folder, Application Context XML file, look for enable save to host fs property, send its value to true, save the file, and restart your Jasper server. Okay, so let's choose the folder where we will be scheduling the report exports into. Click submit, save. Now let's go to view schedules menu, disable the job. Now I want to retrieve this job body syntax. Simply open a new tab and append this job ID to jobs endpoint like this. Now copy paste this body to text editor. We'll need to get rid of some of the fields. So we won't need fields like ID and version, creation date, now we'll need to escape semicolon. Excuse me, we need to escape quotation marks using backslash. I'm using replace feature of Notepad++ for this. And one more thing, we cannot use Windows backslash for path, and we need to use / instead, like this. So now let's copy paste our updated body syntax back to TREST component. Okay, that's all for TREST. But before we move on to next component, let's see if we constructed the correct HTTP body syntax. Let's use tlog row, connect using main row, and run this job to see if we'll create a new scheduler as expected. Okay, let me double check the JRS component details first. I probably want to name my job differently. Example ETL schedule. I forget quotation marks here. Okay, looks like we're ready. Let's run the job and see if a schedule is being created on Jasper server. Here's our ID 2771. Let's refresh our schedules. Okay, here's our schedule 2771 ETL schedule, so that's fine. So we can actually go to our folder on the file system to check if report is being exported as expected. Alright, we see 3 files, CSV, PDF, and XLX with timestamp. So what you rest is fine. Now we can delete this tlog row component, we won't need it anymore. Okay, second component in our job is twait for file. Let's add it to the canvas. We'll need to connect TREST with twait for file. When we were connecting TREST with tlog row using main row connection, because the REST call output was passed to log row component, but here we will be using trigger on component OK like this. It's used because no data is being passed between those two components, and we want to make sure that each component runs fine before we move on to the next one. You can find out about different types of connections in Talent Open Studio for Data Integration User Guide. I'll put a link in the video description below. Let's fill out twait for file details. Directory to scan. We'll be using the directory we chose to schedule the reports into. But once again, we'll need to use / instead of / in our path. We'll use star for file mask to scan all the files created. For then we will use an exit loop in order to not be stuck in an endless loop. Okay, third component is tfile archive. Set it to the canvas. Connect with twait for file using trigger on component OK. Set up its properties. Once again, the directory is the one where we store our files. Let's store the archive file in the same directory. Let's name it report underscore output zip. Let's set encoding to UTF-8 for compatibility purposes, and most importantly, set it to encrypt files. Set the password. Okay, the file archive is ready. Okay, finally, our last step is to introduce email functionality. So we'll use tsendMail for this. Once again, we connect tfile archive with tsendMail using trigger in component k, because we're not passing any data between those components. Now set up those fields like to, from, subject and message with regards to your email requirement. Add the zip file we create as an attachment. Now in this example I'm using Gmail account to send the mail, and there's some extra configuration needs to be done on Gmail account. Once you go to my account, go to connected apps and sites. Make sure you have allow less secure apps feature turned on. Then fill out all the fields like SSL support and correct SMTP port, SMTP host, authentication with regards to your Gmail account or any other email account that you're using. Alright, our ETL job is complete. Let's run and check the results. Okay, job execution has finished. Let's go and check our email. Here's our email. Save the attachment. Open the zip file. We see 3 files as expected, CSV, PDF and XLSX. And let's try to open one of them. Here's your password prompt. Let's enter something like 123, correct one. Now let's enter our password. Okay, we can see that file opens fine. Let's open the PDF just in case. Password. Alright, that's it. Thanks for your time. Please see a video description for links to the documentation. You could leave your questions or comments there as well. If there's a use case scenario you would like us to cover, please let us know. Thank you.